Hey, it's Ted McGrath. Welcome to tonight's show. So I'm going to dive into strategy tonight, talk a little bit about their new product that came out called STRD, and just do a little high-level touch on that. Also, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin price at 113,000 and what that means if Bitcoin goes to 113,000. And we're going to dive a little bit into the money supply and the printing of money and what that means for rates of return on other investments like stocks or real estate or bonds. And we're going to jump into the bond market a little bit here too of what's happening. And of course, we got the feud going on with Trump and Musk. So let's jump in. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. Do your own research and let's dive in. So what is happening in the world today? Well, strategy, as we've seen, it dropped a bit today in terms of the stock price. The bigger news and the bigger story is that Tesla is down 14% over the feud that has taken place between Trump and Elon Musk. Who could have seen that coming? So wild things going on with that. So that stock price plummets. But the bigger news on strategy, let's take a look at the new product that just came out. To simplify these products that are coming out, we have these three different types of products. We have Strike, we have Strife, and we have STRD that just came out. Why are they important in the big picture of things? Those are fixed income products, and that's why they're important. They attract a different kind of investor into the marketplace. And so what Saylor's doing is very intelligent. And the reason why I believe it's very intelligent is because he's attracting different types of investors. And if you look at the bond market or the fixed income market, I should say, is over $300 trillion. And so when you look at the money supply on average from 2000 to the year 2025, the money supply has gone up about 6.5% over that 25-year period. If you trace the money supply back to the last 100 years, you're looking at an increase of 6.7% of the money supply every year for the last 100 years. So when you look at a table on this, it's pretty consistent. You'll have some years where you print more money and there's 3% more money or 4% more money or 6% or 9%. It hovers around that. If you look at the two crazy years was 2020 and 2021, we had 18% and then a 26% or 27% increase during the COVID times. But why is this important? Why does this matter with what's going on in terms of investors? It's pretty simple. When we look at what investors need to start looking at for their portfolios, if the money supply is going up by 6.5% per year, then one needs to look at how they can outpace that. And the simple analogy is it's like you've got pure orange juice and it's freshly squeezed, and then somebody keeps watering it down. And every year there's more water in your orange juice. And you're like, man, this tastes like crap. First year goes by, it's like, tastes kind of like orange juice. Second year, it tastes less and less like orange juice. And then it becomes more and more water. And the value of people's money gets watered down. And their rates of return that they're earning in the stock market or the bond market are no longer what they think it is. If you look at the average rate of return for the S&P 500 over the last 10 years, it's about 13.3%. If you look at the equity markets in general, right around that, maybe 10, 11%. So you take a look at this and people who are effect, which is all of us, of the printing of money and the increase of the money supply, you really have to do more than 10% to outpace the money printing. And when you take into account taxes, you take into account the other factors of credit card debt working against people, people are looking for other solutions. And certainly the investors who are investing in bonds are looking for different solutions. And so when strategy comes out with something called STRD, it is a similar product to Strife or Strike in that it is a fixed income product. They all have their different features. With STRD, it is a fixed income product. The goal is for it to pay 10%. Fidelity just gave a little bit of a warning on it that they think instead of it coming out at $100 face value, it'll be $85. And all that means is that if it comes out lower than $100, that means that the rate of return that's paid to investors instead of 10% would be about 12.5%, or 11.75%. So it's a fixed income product. Very similar to the Strife product that came out. Strife is designed to where it's cumulative. So if they miss a quarterly payment, they have to catch up on that quarterly payment. And STRD is different where it's not cumulative like that. So the bottom line is like, why is this important for those of us who own MSTR? Couple reasons why it's important. Number one, Sailor has different ways to buy Bitcoin. So when you look at these fixed income products like Strife and Strike and also STRD, Strike obviously has a convertible option at the end if somebody wants to convert into MST shares, but they're basically fixed income products. So let's call it what it is. And so Sailor is going out to attract these investors who are in fixed income investments. And so if you're in corporate bonds or you're in government bonds that are paying 4% or 5%, and you're looking at the printing of money at 6.5%, you're looking for alternative solutions. And not to mention the fact, if you're looking at government bonds, we have a huge deficit here in the United States that keeps growing and growing and growing, and people are getting concerned about it. And people are concerned about the bond market. And so when they're concerned about the bond market, particularly as it relates to the government, they lose confidence in loaning their money to the government. And so what used to be a safe investment, I'm going to loan my money to the government and I'll eventually get it back with interest because it's rock solid, the US government. People are waking up and they're going, hey, is the US government that solid anymore? Can I trust that if I put my money with them, the economy is not going to collapse in the US? And we know it's not something that's going to happen immediately, but the debt keeps growing. The bond market's not as highly regarded as it was. And so now investors who are waking up to the idea of Bitcoin, who want more of a fixed income return, are looking at products like Strike, Strife, and the new product STRD. So Sailor keeps coming out with them. And the reason it's also good is that, one of the typical ways early in the beginning when Strategy came out that Strategy was buying more Bitcoin was through issuing common shares. And we all know that when Strategy's price goes way up, that's when Sailor takes that money and then he will go and buy more Bitcoin. But we like, as investors in MSTR, we like when Strategy is going up to what Bitcoin's going up, So when Strategy goes up at a 2x to Bitcoin, we like that. And so if Bitcoin goes up 10% and Strategy goes up 20%, that's what MSTR investors are looking at. But when Sailor issues these common shares and he taps what's called the ATM at the market, it temporarily dilutes the shareholders, even though it gets us more Bitcoin per share in the long run. So he gets to play back and forth between these products, and all leads to one simple strategy, which is to buy Bitcoin. So he can look in his arsenal at any given time and go, hey, should I tap the ATM and issue common shares and buy more Bitcoin? If the price of Strategy is high enough in terms of the stock, he'll look at doing that and he'll tap the ATM and he'll buy more Bitcoin. But in times where the stock is waffling a little bit like it has, he has these fixed income products where he can go out in the marketplace like he just did with STRD, 2.5 million shares. That's $250 million worth of STRD. And you can go out and get investors who are wealthy investors, institutional investors who are looking for more of a fixed income return. They want access to Bitcoin, but they want more of a fixed income return, and they get that through Strategy. And when you look at these fixed income products, how can you even compare? Take a look, right? If you look at the bond market, 5 or 6% versus 10, 11, 12% on some of these fixed income products. And again, it's not for everybody, because the traditional investors are going to go, it's risky, it's risky, it's risky. But one who believes that Bitcoin's going to go up over the next 4 years and believes in Strategy continuing to accumulate Bitcoin would look at this and go, hey, I'll take a little risk here and put my money with Strategy and get some fixed income. And that's basically what you see is happening. So fascinating of what Sailor's doing. It's just kind of like this wheel that feeds itself nonstop. And he's got multiple ways to continue buying Bitcoin for the company. Okay, so that's pretty fascinating to see what's going on with that. Now we know that there's a short squeeze potentially at 113,000 for Bitcoin. So if the Bitcoin price hits 113,000, 114,000, there will be a short squeeze. and it'll squeeze some of these guys out, and the Bitcoin price could potentially explode up from there. Now, I know we're not thinking that right now. We were thinking that a week and a half ago when the price was at 110, 111. But now that we've dropped down to 102,000, people are like, what's going on right now? So Bitcoin will be back. Strategy will be back. Temporary, momentary dips. So that's happening with that. If you look at the bond market of $300 trillion, I think Saylor's brilliant. He's positioning himself with his company with fixed income products to attract that fixed income marketplace. And that is a massive, massive, massive marketplace. So if he just gets a sliver of it, a sliver of a sliver of a sliver, it's going to increase their Bitcoin vault, and it's going to increase the value of Strategy stock as they continue to buy Bitcoin. So that's happening with that. We saw some stuff coming out today with Trump and Elon. It's really a shame to see these two warring and going at each other. I would say look for the third person involved that's causing the fight. Somebody's putting false data on each other's lines, and it's causing them to war and fight. Hopefully they'll make up. Obviously, this is not good for Tesla right now. Down 14% in a day. They got whacked today. From the news that I watched, it looks like with this new bill that came out that Trump is passing, and the government's passing. Trump's proud of it because he says there's $1.6 trillion in tax cuts in there, which he's excited about. He also reported on the fact that what he's doing with tariffs over the next 10 years could save about $2.8 trillion. But in apparently the bill that he proposed, Elon is hitting back a little bit because it's getting rid of the subsidies for these EV electric vehicles. And so, in one of Elon's posts, he said, well, hey, you're getting rid of subsidy for electric vehicles, I should say. And, but you're not doing this for oil and gas, etc. Getting rid of the subsidies on that. So it's interesting to see the little war that's going on. Trump's hitting back and saying that he's surprised that the Biden administration didn't pull a lot of the funding for Tesla and SpaceX. And so there's a nasty little thing going back and forth between them on Truth Social and on X. But we'll see what happens. I think it'll blow over in the next week or two, and hopefully these guys will make up. It's just bad to see these guys working together so closely and then to be going against each other. It's not good for the markets. It's not good for Tesla. It's not good for the government. It's not good for PR, public relations being just not good. But that's what's going on. In terms of strategy news, Swiss Bank just bought 38 million more of MSTR stock. So it just shows that there's many, many companies that are really looking at, or institutions, I should say, that are looking at strategy as a real thing, and a real stock and a real investment and a real future. So when you see moves like that, it just makes you feel even more bullish of what we've got here. And there are quite a few people who are bullish on strategy's future. If you look at some of the call options that have been placed on strategy and people going long on it, there's good news there. There are some people shorting it as well, of course, and you'll have that in any markets. But at the end of the day, I'm still very, very bullish on strategy. I can't wait to see what June holds. Can't wait to see what happens when strategy comes out with their earnings report again in a couple months, and we see what happens to the stock. Can't wait to see what happens when they report unrealized gains on the balance sheet this time, which will be huge. And can't wait to see once they get added to the S&P 500, would be an automatic, just passive income buying machine of strategy by people that don't even know. Think about it. You could have neighbors that are in the S&P 500, and when strategy gets added, your neighbors will be owning strategy and indirectly owning Bitcoin. And it's kind of funny because these are the same people that might be looking at Bitcoin and going, you're dumb for buying Bitcoin, or Bitcoin's at $100,000, it's too expensive now, or hey, strategy, what the hell is that? I've never even heard of that thing. And now they're indirectly going to own it, which is kind of comical, actually. Not yet. One day when strategy gets added to the S&P 500, which I think will definitely happen this year. So we're just getting started, as Remy says in the comments here. TC, I hear you on selling your Tesla. But we're just getting started. I think it's, we have a bull run in store coming up here in 2025, and it's good news. So unfortunately, we had a dip in the markets today. Nobody likes to see it, but I think we'll be back, and we'll be back strong. So in recap, if you're just joining us, the basic things I covered today: watch the Bitcoin price at 113 to 114,000 for short squeezes. If that happens, Bitcoin should turbocharge up more. Secondly, the new strategy preferred stock just came out of STRD, similar to Strife, similar to Strike. They all have different properties. The bottom line is they're fixed income products. They're designed to raise money for strategy to buy more Bitcoin. And now they have a whole new market they can go after, which is the fixed income market, and attract less aggressive, less risky investors. And they can keep piling on that money and buying more Bitcoin, which is what we love. So they've got a great play. There's more Bitcoin treasury companies popping up like crazy now, all over the world. One just popped up in Spain. That's a coffee chain that is going to add $1.1 billion of Bitcoin to their balance sheet. So this is happening more often than not now, and the world's noticing. I just saw Grant Cardone mention on one of his tweets, or somebody tweeted about it, that he's doing some play with $100 million in Bitcoin in real estate. And more people are just jumping in. So it's always interesting to see how the institutions are the institutions, and sometimes the larger players are later to the game, because there's that hesitation of, is this a real thing? Is Bitcoin a real thing? But if you see these guys buying in at 100,000, it just shows you what the future has to hold for Bitcoin. And we thank Michael Saylor. He's a big reason for where we're at today, continuing to buy Bitcoin, buying almost every week, and using these intelligent products to use leverage to make strategy what it is. Will strategy continue to lead the way? Yeah. Nobody's even close to them. We obviously have BlackRock that's buying tons of Bitcoin and has bought more than strategy. But in terms of corporations that own Bitcoin on their balance sheet, strategy is the leader. Nobody's going to catch them. So they're all playing for second place. And that's the story. So I hope it serves you. Whatever you're doing, not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice, but the world is waking up to the fact that the economy is struggling in terms of just the U.S. deficit. The bond market's not trusted like it used to be, and people are looking for alternative investments, and they're waking up, and institutional money's looking for it as well, and people are aping into Bitcoin. So the future is strong. We are just getting started at 100,000. We will see Bitcoin at 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million in the future for sure, is my prediction, not financial advice, but definitely going to happen in the future. I'm not saying it's happening this year at all. Bitcoin, a lot of people are calling for 130,000 Bitcoin, some 150, some are calling for 200,000. Leave in the comments what you think it's going to do. I would love to see a $200,000 Bitcoin. I would be ecstatic, and then predict what could happen to MSTR if we saw a $200,000 Bitcoin. What could happen to MSTR if we saw a $150,000 Bitcoin? It's also been interesting to see that, 3 weeks ago or what have you, or 2 weeks ago, the sentiment was like, what is going on? Bitcoin just went to 111,000, and strategy just dumped and dropped down from 420 at that time to 370. And now it's interesting to see how Bitcoin has gone from 111,000 to 101,000, and strategy's still sitting around 366, 367. So they're not necessarily moving in step together, although we know they are directly correlated in terms of strategy owning Bitcoin. And so when one goes up over the long term, the other is going to go up over the long term. So it's looking good. I'm excited. I hope you guys are super excited. Sorry I was out last week. I would have loved to have been here. I was doing an event. I was leading a 5-day event, hence my silence on this channel, which turned out to be fantastic. I have another brand where I work with entrepreneurs. It's called Stage Empire. And so we did an entire 5-day seminar that I led with a whole group of clients that flew in, and it was a lot of fun. I also am a performer, so I did my one-man play, which I played 12 characters on the stage, and that was a total and complete blast. So I'm a big believer in business and the arts and just having fun and enjoying yourself. And so this is one of my many passions, just being here with you guys and sharing what's going on. So I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic week. I hope you flourish tremendously this year. Those of you who have MSTR, not financial advice, but for those of us holding it, I hope that this is a banner freaking breakout year and a game changer for you and your families. And I hope that you win big, 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 big. All right. And I bought a whole bunch more today, just so you guys know. All right. I bought into MSTR. So, you know, my initial purchase was in 2024 at $79. The stock is currently at 366 or 367 as of close. And then I bought at 79, I bought at 100, I bought 125, 170. All of my purchases were in that range, the bulk early on in 2024. Okay. And then I bought more in about a couple months ago before we had the whole shitstorm and it dropped. And then I just bought more today as it was dropping and dropping and dropping. I bought a bunch more today. So wherever you're at, all of us have different positions. And we all bought in at different times. You need to make your own decisions on what you want to do. At the end of the day, the stock is extremely volatile. Bitcoin is volatile, and you have to do your research and you have to do what's best for yourself. And I will share when the time comes where I look to take some profits on MSTR, which will be one day, I think, in 2025. All right. So up until this point, the stock has been incredibly, incredibly, incredibly successful for me. And I'm excited about the future and hope you guys are too. Yeah. MSTR has been a good buy today, I think. So not financial advice, but for me, it was a good buy. All right. I hope you guys have a great, tremendous rest of the week, and I will see you soon. And I'll be back on more consistently moving forward. Okay. Stay well and subscribe, like the channel, and leave a comment down below. See you guys soon.